I believe we have reviewed twice, so I'll not kind of let's go ahead and on the next steps basically. So let me start directly on um, 4.5, right? Monitoring and controlling monitor and control project work. Let's have a look at yes, this process again. And here what we're trying to do, here we are trying to set up a policies and procedures for monitoring and control our project work. So what we are doing here, we are trying to do a complete monitoring and control of a project work at hand, whatever we are managing right now. It can be one project, it can be two projects. The overall thought process is basically getting the control of the project in terms of targeting various variables, or trying to capture various uh, progresses which are normally not counted. Like we discussed, we are trying to understand overall the performances, we are trying to understand the overall change requests which are getting included, we are trying to understand what are the changes in project management plan and the other project document as well, right? So let's review it again. The inputs to monitor and control project work is the project management plan, all the components, any and all the components. Then we have project documents. We have assumption log, which normally give rise to our risk registers. Then we have basis of estimate, on which basis we are basically estimating when somebody says, I'll take this task 6 hours. So what I'm trying to do, we are trying to basically understand why he is going to take 6 hours. If it's justified, then we'll allocate 6 hours in our project plan. We might discuss with him or her in terms of how he or she wants to commit the estimations for a given task. Okay. Then we have cost forecast. Based on our overall project plan, we're going to understand the task at hand, the schedule applied, and a resource. These three together gives us a cost in terms of what he is doing, he or she is doing, who is he or she, how experienced, how efficient in his or her previous task, then was the schedule attached to that current task. These three entities give me a clear cost forecast, and we'll learn how. Then we have something called lessons learned, issue log first. So issue logs here, what are the issues pops up in terms of if there are any additional obstacles which we are trying to foresee, any new risk popping up, any new challenges why we couldn't complete this task on time. So we'll include those things in our planning and the thought process to tackle such issues additionally. Then we have something called lessons learned register. As we know, all the organizations in today's corporate world, we have something called knowledge archival system. What we do, we try to adopt the best practices in terms of the best efficiency, in terms of the best resource management tactics, and that's why we keep something called lessons learned register or knowledge archival systems. These systems are normally stored all the data which is relevant to pertaining to the best possible policies and procedure to make your project execution efficient. And that's why we normally have a look at lessons learned register as an input to understand if we can do better. Anybody have done the similar thing in a much better way? Okay, and this is a project manager's responsibility to have a look at these lessons learned register. Then we have milestone list. Milestone list is basically a kind of snapshot of a schedule. So when so and so task at hand are supposed to be finished, or are they finishing on time? Are we delayed? Are we in time? So we'll basically get a hang of how the project progressed at a given point by understanding the milestone list. They might have as well written review schedules, but review schedules doesn't look really strategic, right? These are all strategic controls or inputs we are mentioning here. That's why they have clearly mentioned milestone list as an input. Then we have quality reports. These are the reports in the sense the audit has been performed. After audit has been performed, we normally form a report, similar with risk, similar with issues, and so on and so forth. So if there's a risk audit, we'll have a risk report. Risk register is just a list of risks with couple of other parameters included in that. Something like risk description, risk occurrence probability, risk weightages, and so on. So here, similarly, we have something like quality reports. Now, these quality reports includes something like schedule variance, something like resource variance, something like task variance. These variances basically any deviation from the planned entities. So if you have a 6 resource on your project and they are doing 6 tasks, that's a normal progress. If there's any deviation, like if somebody is not well, so I'm doing 5 resources, and as the 6 tasks are planned, I normally try to absorb the leave or the absence with either additional temporary resources, normally got lent from another project team, or depending upon the company policies and procedure, I'll try to manage that additional task as well. And this is how I keep basically uh, trying to mitigate all the issues at hand, all the risk at hand. Okay. And based on these type of progresses, I also do a kind of schedule forecasting. Here, schedule forecasting is something like the trend analysis we understood in business analysis. What is a trend analysis? We try to extrapolate the trend. This is like saying, in the last week, I did like this. In this current week, I'm doing this. And in the next week, I might do something like this, depending upon the historical reports. This again, in a simplest possible term, if I have cooked my dinner in 1 hour for the last 4 days, even today, I'll cook my dinner in an hour. And that's approximation. And this is what we call forecast. Have you cooked your dinner? No, but this is what your experience tells you. This is what the previous occurrences of similar events tells you, and that's why we normally try to achieve something called schedule forecast. Any questions on these so far?
No.
Okay, so you are understanding each and every of these entities, right? Whenever we do hands-on practice, you'll understand in depth what are the things we actually consider. Believe me, project manager's job is not easy. It's a real artwork. In business analysis, what we've learned, basically, I'm alone. I can work alone. I can work in a team, but even if I work in a team, there I try to basically have an individual contributory role. In project management, you are a leader. You are leading a team. So there are uh, at least 5-6 resources, if not more than 20 resources. And 20 is basically maximum normal cap set by the best practices within the project management processes. So that's why a normal project manager normally have 10 to 12 resources at any time with him to execute a given execution. And that's why we are working here as a leader. And here, what we are trying to do, we are trying to lead the project for the success. So there we also track something called work performance information. In work performance information, what we are trying to do, like we discussed in a schedule forecast, how the particular resources is working for a given task at hand. Is it on time, delayed, in time? And I'll have certain trends built on those scenario, and I'll allocate certain number of tasks to him or her depending upon his experience. Should I try new things? If I have a time at hand, then only I can try for the new avenues or any changes. But otherwise, I normally, based on my historical analysis, based on my experience, I'll normally allocate similar tasks to the resource. This is like if resource know how to cook, I'll give him cooking task. If you know how to clean, I'll give him cleaning task. If you know how to do .NET, I'll give him a .NET work. If you know how to do SQL, I'm giving SQL work. If he's experienced in Oracle, I'll give him that work, and so on and so forth, right? Then we have different agreements, which basically also taken as an input in case if there are any penalty causes for the delays or something like that sort. Then that's a kind of additional risk I need to tackle there, because I don't want to pay any penalties or fine for delays, right? So I might add extra resources just in case. And many project policies and procedures support project managers to have an extra resource called bench resource. Now, these bench resources are normally with the popular skills which you normally require, but something like exceptional skills, you might not have a bench resource. Then what you do, you normally step in by yourself and try to understand if you can get it working with any other resources at hand. And yes, at times, project manager normally helps the task getting done left and right as well. And that's the kind of responsibility a leader has, right? You lead the team, you help them to succeed. That's what the most important part here. And then, of course, we have enterprise environmental factors, all the factors affecting your organizational performance and organizational process assets, the policies and procedure we already devise within your organizations to help you out to get the project completion done on time, in time, every time. And that's why we get leverage from EEF and OPAs. Let's have a look at tools and techniques. As always, in terms of typically the process group within integration management knowledge area, we have expert judgment to help us out. So we can leverage any center of excellences, subject matter experts, which can help us out to get this project do better efficiently this time, next time, every time. And then we have some data analysis tools at our disposal just to make sure whatever decisions we have taken in terms of like choose for biometric, choose for ID scanners, this type of laptop, gel laptop or gateway laptop or target laptop or what type of laptops are better for your executions. These type of data analysis can be reviewed, or so the claims are normally to be substantiated with these type of analysis artifacts like alternative analysis. Alternative analysis is basically, have we checked out any other alternatives than whatever you are chosen? Yes. So what are the artifacts? Yes, I got quotation from these 4 people, and this company looks really economical. They are giving us a longer warranty. They are near to us, so we can just call them, and they can start supporting us left and right. So I have chosen this company, and you can present your artifact. There's nobody to criticize you here. You are the leader, but still you need to present any and all artifacts within your decision making powers, so that nobody will criticize you unnecessarily. And yes, this is a kind of political situation we are talking about. Every leader has to face the politics. How to skip these scenarios? You normally provide with the relevant artifact. You normally speak with the papers or auditory proofs with the other party, the opposition. There are reviews like PMO reviews where there are very senior project managers who review your project work. Now, whenever they review your project work, you have to understand how they are going to get satisfied with whatever the alternative you've chosen. And that's with this auditory artifact for alternative analysis. Then we have something called cost benefit analysis. We do cost benefit analysis every time without us knowing. And cost benefit analysis is within our decision whenever you do shopping. Whenever you do shopping, you normally go for the costliest item on the shelf, believing it's the best quality, like you need to purchase a car. Should you always go for Ferrari or whatnot, those Bentleys or the Teslas of the world? No, we normally try to understand how much we have in pocket, how much loan I can bargain for, and then we normally choose our car in the morning. Does it make our as a less of a person? No, not at all. This is the actual fitment to the life scenario. So whatever you are trying to procure, should always suffice, supported by whatever you have at your hand. And this is what we call cost benefit analysis. How much cost you can spend, how much benefits to be leveraged, and that's how we normally take a decision. Should we go for ID scanner, which is normally thrice or four times cost of a fingerprint scanner, but because at certain stages the fingerprint scanner might not perform correctly, so we need to have ID scanner in some installation, but those are far and few, like the cold region in Canada, right? So we take these type of decisions to make sure how the cost benefits analysis to be leveraged in such scenario, including with their artifacts which are suggested by the scenario at that moment. Then we have something called earn value analysis. Now this earn value analysis is one of the most PMI's proprietary thought process, where they try to basically have something called a cost of a work done at a particular point. And for that, we have a special video to understand how this earn value analysis is performed. And there are various other, what you can say, number of entities we devise through this earn value analysis. Okay. Let me play that video and we'll understand how this earn value analysis can help us out to do our actual project financial numbers at a given moment, and then we'll understand how we are doing in terms of trying to understand how we are doing in terms of the project progress. This is like checking, I have $2,000 for a monthly expense, and at the date of 20th of that month, I'll try to understand how am I doing in terms of my spending analysis for a given month. And that's why I can even apply earn value analysis in that scenario as well. So earn value analysis is really great thing, basically devised by the project management people and now applied throughout the industries. Even many uses them for their day-to-day life as well. Yes, there are quite a few financial terminology here, so bear with me. We normally don't calculate everything, but if you are working on a project of a financial domain, you might calculate all these, mumbo jumbos of these earn value management. Okay, but let's try to understand how this earn value management is going to help me out to get a really great estimations or really great analysis of the actual cost, actual spending of a given executions for a given day within the overall proceedings. Okay, so let me stop my recording. I'll stop the share as well. I'll start the share. Where is that? Okay.